As the runway became increasingly more congested, we looked at ways of improving runway capacity. And recently, over the last 4 or 5 years, the capacity has increased from 37 movements per hour to 42. In order to achieve those 42 movements per hour, we need to interleave arriving aircraft with departing aircraft. What we tend to do is to separate aircraft by 6 miles. That, in fact, is 3 miles more than we would normally need to separate aircraft. But by separating at 6 miles, it enables us to get an aircraft off between arrivals. Air traffic control within the United Kingdom is divided in the en route phase into 3 areas. One is controlled by London, another is controlled by Scotland, and that also has responsibility for the oceanic traffic, and the one at Manchester is responsible for traffic operating between Birmingham in the south, Carlisle in the north, on the east coast of England, and in the west to the Isle of Man. As you can see on the radar display behind me, a number of aircraft are actually appearing. In the centre of the display is Manchester, and all of these operating around are aircraft that are either operated into or out from Manchester. In order to make air traffic work within the United Kingdom, the airspace is divided up into airways. The airways historically were 10 miles wide, but with the increasing growth in air traffic, they've now been widened to accommodate the extra aircraft. The displays themselves are also quite interesting. If you're knowledgeable about television, then you'll know that your television at home has 625 lines on it. Well, this display here has 2,000 lines on it, and each line is updated 60 times per second. Clearly that's all done by a computer, and those computers are situated beneath the floor that we're sitting on at the moment. Once an aircraft has departed the airfield, it follows what is known as a standard instrument departure, or to use the parlance, a SID. That SID is laid down in terms of the track that the aircraft must fly and the height it must achieve. By doing that, we try to avoid as far as possible large conurbations and hence minimise the noise impact of aircraft using the airport. Likewise, arriving aircraft follow what is known as a STAR, the standard arrival route. These routes join the airways to the holding beacons at Manchester.
Interline Jets 231 on final stand 45, side on please. Airbus control. Air France on final stand 28.
Apron control is the eyes and ears of the airfield operations itself. They're in a very prime position on the apron, and the panoramic view they have is on a smaller scale but identical to that the VCR of air traffic control have.
Hello, control.
Basically what we do, the main function is stand allocation. So basically all the aircraft that come in and out, they all have a stand nominated by ourselves. We're also in charge of the safety of the apron areas and all the manoeuvring areas as well. Plus that function comes under the auspices of the operations duty manager, the Ops 3 gentleman.
We start off with a computer at the far end of the desk on the next day's schedule, and we use that for pre-planning of stand allocation for tomorrow. And then as the time progresses and we get the registrations of the various aircraft, we then get a more definite plan of what we are able to do. And as we get closer to the actual current time, we then input the stands into the main computers that we work with, which are these two here, which tell all the other computer systems via our main computer system where the aircraft are going to be parking. ATC ground controllers have a version of the computer which picks up the stands from our computer, and they advise the captains of where they are to park their aircraft. Any last minute changes of stand, we have to input them into the computer, but we normally let ATC ground know by phone in case they haven't had the update through onto their computer. We also allocate marshallers where needed to each individual aircraft, either for individual marshalling or for positioning of air bridges. We also have to liaise on an ad hoc basis with handling agents, dispatchers and station managers.
Will report overhead. 101.010. Golf Alpha India, just check your passing level now, please. 4,700. Golf Alpha India, got jet traffic just riding on the left base, so for the moment your clearance is not below 4,000 feet altitude. Yes, not below 4,000 feet altitude, Alpha India. Cover. For visual approach, number 1. Number 1, thank you. 222 Sierra, number 1, tower 1862, show out. 1862, shall we do Sierra, thanks, sorry. 210 at 10 knots. Spirit 5 man X-ray, you're clear for a visual approach, number 2, number 1 for shuttle on at 2 mile final. And traffic information for you, there's a helicopter in the airport overhead between 5,000 and 4,000 feet doing the photo detail. Just give us a look at as you approach right there. We'll be there for that, keep the 5 man X-ray, that's good. 5 man X, let me know before you descend below 25, 5 man X-ray.